Everyone, I'm Hitaishita Virmani, a counseling psychologist, and today I have with me someone who's going to be talking about a topic that is very, very close to my heart and is has a lot of noise around it on social media, something that not many people understand to the core or the depth. And Ayush is here to explain to you all what it is all about. But before we dive into it, let's ask Ayush to give a brief introduction about himself. Ayush, I hand it over to you.
Hi, Hitaishita. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. So, yes, my name is Ayush Mudgal, and I'm a clinical psychologist by training and lifelong student of the human mind. I completed my bachelor's in clinical psychology at Amity University, Gurgaon, and then I did my master's from Christ University and my MPhil from clinical psychology at PGIBMS, Raipur. And I'm registered as a licensed clinical psychologist. Over the years, I have worked in hospital settings, community clinics, and now at Alpha Healing Center, which is in Vadodara.
Okay, thank you for sharing your journey. Should we address the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
ADHD. Okay. So, what is it, Ayush? What is ADHD? What are the myths around it? And everybody is diagnosing themselves on social media these days, right? Like everybody's like, I'm ADHD because I'm distracted and I'm forgetful. Well, it should be so casual. Are we allowed to diagnose ourselves? What is the right way that one should go ahead with this? Let's start off with what ADHD is. Let's start from the basics so that our viewers can understand.
Certainly. So, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is a neurodevelopmental condition, meaning it originates early in brain development and has a strong genetic component. The
Hmm.
core issue isn't simply laziness or poor parenting, it's a neurobiological balance.
Hmm.
Research also shows that people with ADHD have like disrupted regulation of dopamine and norepinephrine, which are the chemicals that helps you focus, prioritize, and suppress impulses. Their prefrontal cortex, the
Hmm.
part of the brain that plans, organize, and regulates emotion, it
Hmm.
struggles to coordinate with other networks, like causing increased background noise. You might hear like a lot of noise or any music or any sound behind your head
It's
while you're working on
amplified.
the.
No, it's
Yeah,
amplified for them, huh?
it's amplified and making it hard to filter out the irrelevant stimuli.
Hmm.
So think of it like trying to read while radio blares static, or you might catch some words, but your brain is constantly distracted.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. So ADHD is diagnosed when patterns of inattention, which is like, for example, losing things, missing details, forgetting appointments. Then second is hyperactivity. Example could be restlessness, fidgeting, and impulsivity, which is could be, you can see it as blurting out answers, risky decisions taking. These are the things which are present from childhood and impair daily life across context, from home to school to work to your relationships.
Hmm.
There are three presentation predominantly. One is inattentiveness, predominantly hyperactive impulsivity,
Hmm.
and combine them.
Hmm.
People with inattentive ADHD may seem dreamy or disorganized, while those with the hyperactive type may appear constantly on the move. You will see that they cannot even sit at one place, like they're shaking their hands a lot, or they're like pounding their feet in the ground while listening to the music. That is not the diagnostic criteria. That is some kind of symptoms that you can see in them. Many have a blend of both. It's
Hmm.
important to know that everyone has a moment of distraction or restlessness. In condition is like the condition is also heritable, meaning it often runs in the family. Lastly, ADHD doesn't disappear with age. Symptoms evolve, and in adults, hyperactivity may become internal restlessness, a mind that won't slow down at all, and inattention may manifest as chronic overwhelm.
Let's talk about how, women, it shows up in women in childhood and when they grow
Hmm.
up. Like, suppose a woman is a girl is very hyperactive in like school age, right? When she grows up, because our hormones are a little different to men, like, how does that shape up? How does that, impact their relationships, their self-image, and their work? Let's talk about all of those, especially in the context of women, because men के लिए तो easy होता है diagnose करना relatively.
When ADHD was first studied, the focus was on hyperactive schoolboys
Hmm.
who were disruptive in class, making देखते होंगे आप लोग कुछ शैतानी कर रहे हैं, बुली कर रहे हैं, लोगों को तंग कर रहे हैं. All these
They're
things are
easily
happening.
like they're easily identifiable now because of their externalization of the symptoms.
Children who didn't fit into the mold were overlooked. For example, girls and women often exhibit the inattentive subtype,
Hmm.
they show daydreaming, internal restlessness, perfectionism,
Hmm.
like chasing more things in their life, which
Hmm.
is quieter than easier to miss. They may be labeled as anxious, depressed, or spacey. They need space, or they are very sad, or they are always fidgeting, thought fidgeting, you can say. So rather than evaluated for ADHD, they were diagnosed for anxiety, depression, or something like that. So social conditioning played a major role. So girls are taught to be good and compliant. So they may mask their impulsivity by working twice as hard to blend in. When these coping strategies falter, they experiences burnout. Uh, yet clinicians may still attribute their struggles to mood issues rather than ADHD.
Hmm.
And if we go into the adult part of it, so for adults, the picture changes again. Hyperactivity becomes less physical and more cognitive.
Hmm.
Racing thoughts, jumping from project to project, constant mental chatter, the demand of adult life, managing a household, a career relationship, it amplifies organizational deficits and emotional dysregulation. So you see how things have changed now from constantly onto the move
Hmm.
to constantly thinking about a lot of things. So
Yeah.
that is why diagnosis is complicated by the requirement to show symptom before 12, which relies on memory or old school reports that may not exist. Uh, Furthermore, furthermore, women and people of color are disproportionately underdiagnosed because clinicians unconsciously expect that ADHD to look like a restless boy only. That is the reason why a lot of women or girls are going undiagnosed
And a
because the
lot of
major picture.
like Ayush, what I've heard is a lot of females like who
Mhm.
actually have ADHD have been diagnosed as depression, as having a depression disorder or anxiety or even borderline. you know
Hmm.
so like
Yes.
how ADHD masks all these disorders, and conversely these disorders can also mask as ADHD. So how does one really understand that for themselves, that okay, is this ADHD, do I have a personality disorder, or do I have ADHD, or is it comorbid?
So it's a very good question. Now, if we go about this thing, girls, I'm just talking about the statistics and how people perceive, social criteria. People perceive girls as having a lot of emotional like mood swings, and they are emotionally having a lot of problems. So as we were discussing about that, they were most of their symptoms were usually diagnosed into mood disorders rather than going into the ADHD, because again they are not doing a lot of things in a flabbergasted way. And if we go about diagnosis, so let's first look about ADHD, development of ADHD symptoms in a person, or whether it's a man or a woman. So what happens is, as your brain is constantly onto the chatter, and there are multiple of stimulus which are going in your head. You can say it like there are brain imaging photos also. You can see a neurodivergent brain and a neurotypical brain have completely different activities you can see in those images.
Yeah.
So, for example, a neurotypical brain will be thinking of 1,000 to 2,000 thoughts per second, or
Yeah.
a neurodivergent brain will be, on the other hand, will be working on to 10,000 or 20,000 of the thoughts at the same time. And not just the thoughts, but they are registering stimulus from all over their surroundings into the subconscious, but not directly engaging into it. So this part impairs their ability interact with people authentically or like more deeply. You might see difficulties in finding gifts for everyone. You might see your friends might be a good gifter. They
Hmm.
can gift people a lot easily. For you, it will be a little difficult to think about what the other person likes, what is their liking, what do they want.
Perspective,
And
no?
you're
Like getting into the other person's shoes and to try to like that theory of
uh,
mind. Oh,
it is more like into this part that they lack the ability, they don't lack the ability, but I'll say they're not able to pay attention to details easily.
attunement.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So it becomes very difficult for them to see things more easily. You might have heard the phrase ace of everything, master of none.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Use a lot with ADHD people. Now, going with that thing, they engage into multiple activities, they engage into multiple tasks at the same time. And whenever there are people socializing, you might start feeling alienated, a feeling of alienation that comes into it that I'm not connected with them as deeply as the other person is with them. सो वो थोड़ा सा धीमे धीमे बढ़ते बढ़ते एलियनेशन लोनलीनेस भी आने लगता है. देन यू आर स्ट्रगलिंग ऑलरेडी स्ट्रगलिंग विद द टास्क. तुम बचपन से इतनी पढ़ाई कर रहे हो, लोगों से ज्यादा काम कर रहे हो, देन टू यू आर नॉट गेटिंग दैट मच रिजल्ट्स. तो वो भी somehow start contributing into other comorbid conditions such as depression later on or anxiety issues. And as you grow up into things, now you see you have been either into multiple relationships or either you have not gone into good relationships and you are already damaged a lot into these things. So, when you go to a professional, whenever you're going to a mental health professional, what they do is they majorly look into the presenting symptoms
Hmm.
or presenting complaints.
Hmm.
And as you don't know much about ADHD from the beginning, that it might be ADHD because ADHD ka picture is like restless boy who
Hmm.
is yeah, who is not able to that is the reason why a lot of people are not getting diagnosed because the comorbid condition overshadows a lot of things at that time. And as you go deeper into it, as you go deeper into the therapy side or diagnostic side, there are different tools. Definitely, when a person is get going for diagnosis, childhood history is taken in place. Occupational history is also being taken over there in consideration. Then there are tests there is Connors Adult ADHD rating scale, and it's for same for the children. So there are diagnostic tools, and onto the basis of that only, in the combination of both childhood history and this test assessments, onto the basis of that only you can be diagnosed. Other than that, if you're looking into the Instagram things or reels or YouTube videos, they might provide you a lot of misinformation or like half information. Like people scroll through short videos about timeliness, dopamine hacks, body doubling, and see themselves in these stories. Uh, for many, that recognition feels validating after years of being told they are lazy or they are irresponsible. They realize that there might be a neurological explanation to that, and to this like adding to this the long wait list of psychiatric evaluation and the appeal of online communities, and it's easy to see why self-diagnosis is tempting. Now, like, however, there are significant risks. First, ADHD is complex. It involves neurochemical imbalances, executive function deficits, and lifelong patterns. Social media content often simplifies or misrepresents these factors, focusing on relatable anecdotes rather than science.
Scientific facts, yeah.
Professional and without a professional evaluation, people can misinterpret normal behaviors like procrastinating or unpleasant tasks as ADHD, or they might overlook these like other conditions such as anxiety, trauma, bipolar disorders, or medical issues that mimic ADHD. So misdiagnosis can lead to inappropriate self-medication, especially dangerous with prescription stimulants, and can perpetuate the idea that every difficulty with focus equals to ADHD.
Yeah.
Finally, if we go like adopting the ADHD label prematurely may become a self-fulfilling prophecy for them, reinforcing hopelessness rather than empowering change. So, my advice, if ADHD content, if ADHD content resonates with you, take it as a prompt to explore further. Use credible resources, consult a clinician, and remember that a diagnosis is a starting point for support,
Hmm.
not destination.
So it's
Uh,
a starting point. So you need to get diagnosed, and that is the first thing you need to get done before you self-label.
yes. So that is one thing. Another part that we were talking about was how does
Women's.
it, okay,
Yeah.
women part.
Yeah.
Let's talk about more into the women thing.
Hmm.
So, for many girls, ADHD doesn't look like it's more like sitting quietly, staring out of the window, lost in thoughts. Like imagine a 9-year-old girl, naming anyone, Ananya, Neha, whatever it is. She's she's well behaved, polite, and teachers say she's sweet but
Ah.
inattentive.
Hmm.
So what no one notices is that she misses key instructions, she forgets homework, and spends twice as long finishing simple tasks before. Because she's not disruptive,
Hmm.
she slips under the radar.
Hmm.
So as she grows older, her ADHD shifts from external to internal. Like racing thoughts are there,
Yeah.
chronic overthinking, emotional exhaustion is there,
Hmm.
and her brain is still overstimulated, but she's learned to hide the noise.
She's very
And
good at hiding. She's very good at hiding.
and at this part, we come to the masking thing. So masking is a first understand what masking is. Masking is a survival strategy which consciously or unconsciously help us hiding symptoms to fit into social expectations or avoid judgments. One of the masking that we talk about, copying and camouflaging. So, for example, again, take Neha, a university student who struggles to follow lectures. Instead of asking questions for fear of looking stupid, she copies her classmates' notes for word from word to word. Watches lectures twice at night and highlights every line in her textbook. Not because it helps her retain, but because it looks productive. So her masking helps her appear organized, but inside she's constantly anxious about being found out. So that is one fear that keeps on continuing over there. Then the another masking behavior will be overcompensation. So many women push themselves to perfection to hide their ADHD.
There's a syndrome
Uh,
now for this also that people who are capable, but they start second guessing themselves a lot.
that is imposter syndrome that
Yeah, yeah,
comes
yeah.
along with this.
Yeah, that's different.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So let's take another example of let's say Neha again, a marketing professional who compensates for forgetfulness by setting 5 reminders for the same meeting, color coding her planner, and working late to catch up. So colleagues call her meticulous, unaware that she's running on caffeine, adrenaline, and a fear of failure. So she's praised for her work ethic, but at home she collapses in exhaustion. That's the unseen cost of masking over there,
It can't, but
because
isn't it that they don't meet deliverables? Isn't it that, because execution is a major part of ADHD, don't they
Hmm.
falter with execution a lot? Even though they're trying the process, they're doing very fine. Like everything, the process is followed to the T. But when it comes to execution, it comes to deliverables, it comes to, organization and all of that, isn't that somewhere that they really struggle with?
That is the part where they struggle. That is the part what we are talking about over here. So what is happening over the time? They have learned these techniques and they have applied it over them. If you see, like the problem comes, like you can put one reminder for one thing. You can put, you can just make a to-do list. You can just put reminders, that is one thing where you are functional about it. However, when you're putting a lot of reminders, like more than one, more than two, and still you're forgetting a lot of things, and you're still using self-medication such as caffeine. Sometimes it goes to go into substances also. So they are overcompensating with a lot of things. At the same time, they are doing more than that, and they're still struggling, and that is the reason why they're coming home and exhausted, completely exhausted at home,
Burnt
and they're
out.
not doing.
Hmm.
Burnout is there, yes, definitely. Over time, she trains herself to smile more, like she because a lot of social habits are not there. Social manners are like difficult to apply over there. So she's training herself to smile more, speak less. She's controlling herself and hide her frustration on a lot of things. Her outward
To
calm.
appear all calm and contained and perfect, so that there is no finger basically. So that's rejection sensitivity aspect also comes into na ADHD.
Definitely.
Hmm.
So this outward calm earns her the label of composed, but inside she's battling emotional dysregulation and self-blame. This suppression often leads to anxiety or depression later in life. Because you see, as we talked about, in boys it's more outward, and girls it's more inward. So a lot of chaos is happening inside.
Hmm.
Now, if we talk about why women mask more, so one is definitely social conditioning.
Yeah.
Girls are raised with an unspoken rule, which
Hmm.
is don't be too loud, don't
Hmm.
be too messy or too emotional.
Hmm.
Uh, ADHD traits are there. So impulsivity, forgetfulness, restlessness, it directly clashes with those ideals
Hmm.
that have been taught. So
Hmm.
girls learn early to perform stability.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah. Think of it like constantly holding a beach ball underwater. Like you're just trying to keep it inside. You can do it for a while, but eventually it bursts back up, often in the form of burnout, irritability, or emotional breakdowns in private. Then,
It does
second
come out.
reason.
It does at some point. It just like is quite evident, and it's like that crisis moment where you're like everything has just fallen apart, and everything is just like nothing is in your control anymore.
It anyhow is going to come out, and sometimes it's like emotional burst outs also, anger burst outs also, but mostly with girls it happens in private settings, like whenever they're in their room or in their space. That is there, and it causes a lot more damage than just keeping it in. So then second reason for masking that comes is diagnostic bias. So because ADHD research was historically based on hyperactive boys, again, the
Mhm.
criteria don't capture how it manifests in girls and
That
women. A
just
woman with
whenever you say hyperactive boys, it just like makes me like imagine a boy who's running around, and it's very funny to my head. Yeah.
A woman with inattentive ADHD might appear calm, even high functioning, but her inner world is chaotic. Deadlines missed, chronic guilt, constant mental clutter is there. This mismatch keeps many women undiagnosed until adulthood,
Hmm.
often after their own child's diagnosis. One thing is there. So, next
Like you
part that
mentioned
we,
earlier, that it's genetic, right?
yes. That is what is happening, because another social construct that comes over here, like females are generally diagnosed with mood disorders easily, like quickly, rather than
Borderline,
going.
personality, cluster B. That's like a lot of people DM me and they're like, "Ma'am, कितने medications try कर लिए हैं, कुछ भी काम नहीं आता." Why do you think that's happening, Ayush? Like, a lot of people are complaining about, medications not working for them at all.
Again, as these symptoms, if we talk only about ADHD over here, as these symptoms are mimicking a lot of other symptoms of other problems, and going directly into ADHD, like people don't choose it. Like now they have started looking into it, but earlier it was majorly into like this is depression. Like again, looking into the current symptoms, or even if we talk about personality disorders, people like as there is ADHD, these traits look more exaggerated over there. Like these could be personality traits, but not at a disorder level. And people easily diagnose them with personality disorders.
But there is a
And then
difference between a PD and a personality trait is something that everyone in the medical industry should be mindful of.
yes, definitely, because personality traits are something like you might have traits of narcissism, you might have traits of borderline also.
Depression, yeah, anything.
Yes, however, jumping onto conclusion of these other disorders, which might seem because of the chronic condition they have been in, it causes a lot of misdiagnosis, and then again, medication is then altered accordingly. So that is one thing. Coming to with medication, we come into the hormonal influence. So fluctuating estrogen levels throughout life, puberty, menstruation, pregnancy, menopause. So you see, there are a lot of stages in women's life which directly affects dopamine, the neurotransmitter which is tied to motivation and focus. So many women report that ADHD symptoms worsen premenstrually or postpartum. So they are not imagining it like as biology magnifies their cognitive load just when society expects them to manage it all. You see, like postpartum part and premenstrually,
You're
like
supposed to
when
have it
they
all
are.
together. Like that's what society wants is that you are supposed to have it all together. Your PMS, your hormones are dropping, everything is there, and you have ADHD, but you're supposed to look all put together. You have to go to work, you have to report at a certain time. Doesn't matter if you have painful periods, doesn't matter. Nothing matters. What matters is that you have to show up regardless of whether you're collapsing internally or not. And that's, I think, a mindset shift that we have to bring in.
It lots depends on awareness also, because majorly, like if we look onto the major part of the population, they are only aware about depression and addiction and anxiety problems. Other than that, there are different mental health conditions, but they just know the terms, and they get easily influenced by those diagnoses, the labels that they have been given. And if we so manage it all is something like you have to do it, otherwise like nobody will like you. This is not how girls should be like. ये तो तुम्हारे साथ होता ही रहता है. A lot of stigma and a
Like
lot
deal
of
with
these
it.
comments.
Like deal with it. We don't care. Deal with it.
Just deal with it. एक वो होता है ना तुम्हारा कि hard word वाला जो mentality है, the world is not safe, the
Stoic.
world is.
Stoic. Be stoic.
Yes, you just do it. And it like definitely it only doesn't go with women, it also goes with men, but it's different, like how it goes uh, with both of them. But yeah, as we are talking about women, it majorly goes like this. Like they
So
do
which is
not
it
consider.
for who is it tougher? If you have to say for which gender is managing ADHD tougher, men or women?
See, on the basis of gender, if we go about it, or sexuality, I will not say that किसी के लिए easy है ना, it goes tougher in both the parts. But if we look into the hormonal part, it gets difficult for women majorly. And if we go about diagnostic bias, it gets difficult with women because they are not being diagnosed properly, and there are a lot of hormonal imbalances, a lot of hormonal influences over there. So it becomes very difficult for them over there. So the symptoms manifest in different ways, and without awareness nothing can be achieved in this. So I'll not say it's like symptoms differ for both of them, and managing it becomes little difficult for women, because yes, there are different stages as we talked about: puberty, menstruation, pregnancy, menopause. These causes a major hormonal influence on ADHD symptoms.
Thank you so much for
And
reinforcing that.
yeah, that's the fact. That's something which is very necessary to know for everyone, and become aware of that. You cannot be inconsiderate about all these things which are biological, which are natural, and you cannot just you cannot just be inconsiderate about these things.
Let's continue masking.
Yeah. So consequences of masking. So, um, so one thing was late diagnosis and self-blame. When a woman has masked for years, getting diagnosed feels both validating, devastating. So it wasn't just me being lazy all this time. That's a common reaction that we get. So they finally see the pattern and they missed opportunities, the burnouts, the constant self criticism is there. Then another thing is comorbid conditions. So, because of chronic stress and emotional suppression, women with masked ADHD are more prone to anxiety, depression, and eating disorders, emotional exhaustion. So, many seek therapy for these issues, but the root cause ADHD remains again unseen. Then another consequence will be identity burnout. Yeah. So decades of pretending can blur the sense of self. Um, so for a girl who is in her 30s says, I don't even know what's me and what's my mask anymore. Like that loss of authenticity, constantly acting fine, erodes confidence and masks relationships harder to sustain.
So the
If we
self-esteem, their relationships, everything. So they're into like a collapse, a crisis sort of a situation, right? It is a crisis.
It is definitely becoming a crisis because when you don't know yourself, what you have been doing or why you were doing, and now the world is constantly changing around you as you keep on growing, it becomes very difficult for anyone to regulate over there.
Hmm.
So you just don't know what do you like, what do you actually like, or are you actually fine, or what is happening with you. It becomes a total chaos, inside also, outside also.
Just
So.
wanted to steer the direction of the questions a little bit. So a lot of people are getting diagnosed, a lot of people are diagnosing themselves. But don't
Hmm.
you think that also takes away from the fact that there is neurodivergence in this world? Now, if you see plants, you see trees, you see anything, there is nature's neurodivergence, right? Like you will not say that this plant is nice because, or this plant is not nice because. But like, for example, if somebody has ADHD, it's a neurodivergence and they're managing their life pretty well, right? They know that,
Hmm.
okay, they have a certain, they're very high on energy. They know that they're impulsive, but they've chosen careers that
Hmm.
have helped them out or they've had environments that have been very supportive to them, right?
Hmm.
Why are we like why are we so hell-bent on labels, on diagnosis, on medication, when this could simply be a natural tendency of, nature?
It's a very good question to put into it, to look into it. So you see, there are severity of symptoms.
Hmm.
People do come up with different severity, like various severity in their symptoms. Like in ADHD itself, there are different domains. So one is hyperactivity, one is inattentiveness, and if we only talk about neurodivergence, so it's not just a curse, it's not just a problem. It becomes a blessing for a lot of people to become creative, to become more efficient at some places, at some points. So, as the severity is there in one domain of their life, they are able to compensate it with the other thing. And some people have good support system. In ADHD, particularly neurodivergence, support people your social support should be really good. They should understand how you function, and in western countries it becomes little easier because they understand these things, that people have individuality all. In India, in countries like India, it becomes little difficult because there is a sense of community that you have to go with the social
And
thing,
also
that
expression is
you.
not very encouraged in our society, right?
Yeah, it
In
is not encouraged. Yeah,
expression
you're
is
saying.
more encouraged, you're more open when you're abroad. Like you will feel a sense of, being free, like you're allowed to be who you are.
Yes, acceptance and yeah, acceptance is there more. Like I'll say not 100%. Definitely there are always people who don't understand. But yeah, in countries like India, the acceptance of these things are emerging, but it's not there yet. So acceptance and understanding the functioning of other person, looking into the other like individuality, philosophy of individuality, it becomes difficult over here to regulate these things. So you see, there are a lot of people with ADHD, and they are like doing very good in their life. And whenever, like, even if you Google people with ADHD, you will see multiple people from Western countries, like who are celebrities and
Have you
who are doing.
personally like met anyone, like you don't have to name them, obviously, like that's confidentiality, but have you ever met someone personally or seen someone who has dealt with this and has like without medication, but just with a good support system, a good determination, been able to be very, very successful? Have you met anybody like that so far?
So if we are talking about no medication, are we also excluding therapeutical help in that?
I mean, imagine if their environment is therapeutic enough that they don't need to go to a therapist. Like they're accepting enough, they're authentic enough, they're, empathetic, everything. They're
So yes,
unconditional. Yeah.
yeah, I have met a few people like that. Sometimes medication is not required because there are a lot of SRTs, self-regulating techniques that we do. And these self-regulating techniques, we put it into a scientific term over here. However, these are very easy and you can use it easily.
Hmm.
Uh, Something like just dedicating your 10 minutes or 15 minutes to one task only,
Hmm.
making to-do lists, and putting up small reminders, grounding in between, so which regulates you. So sometimes people already have these kind of knowledge helps them over there, and people are doing good. But if we talk about goods, like people who are very successful. Yes, like Michael Phelps is there, if you know. He's more into sports. So they choose one, like self-identity is one part. If people are more accepting towards you, what do you want to do? Because people with ADHD wants to live freely. They need structure, but they need their own structure, and then they don't need the structure. So if people are accepting about a lot of things, if the society is accepting, then ADHD people blooms. Like they just do their work, like they just put everything if they're hyper focused onto one part. And for them it
They're
becomes like
passionate
when we.
people. They're passionate people about their work, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you can say that they are passionate. So for them, if like when we are talking about hyper focus, they're hyper focused towards one goal,
Hmm.
and everything again fades out. So they do really good in their field, uh, because the society and their environment was accepting to those ideas. When they like somebody can like to teach people, somebody enjoys to play music or just roam around the world, somebody likes to just love people around them, and we don't accept that part. We feel like that this person is not doing good in their life, good in his life or in her life, so they needs to be persuaded or pushed towards one set of line. Look, go get a job, go do 9 to 5, go like get married easily, है ना, जल्दी से शादी कर लो 25 साल की उम्र में. Now people are like getting married at 32, 33, 34,
40, 50
and
even.
40, 50 even. So
Yeah.
एक तुम्हारा नैरो माइंडसेट जो रहता है ना, वो सोसाइटी, वो वाली सोसाइटी है ना, एडीएचडी पीपल के लिए, मतलब पर्सन के लिए बहुत मुश्किल हो जाती है.
It's like a cage for
Because
them, huh? Cage हो जाता है उससे.
it's caged over there, because you don't know what is getting your attention and what will take you away. You are not allowed to explore. And ADHD is something which make you wants to explore, which gives you a little bit more curiosity in your life, a little bit more enthusiasm about things. And when that enthusiasm is suppressed, and when that curiosity is suppressed, it becomes dysregulating
Because it's
for a
because
lot
their
of
brains are
things.
like novelty seeking. Nah, they need that novelty seeking in order to get the dopamine in. That's their way of getting the dopamine in which may be different from another person's brain of getting dopamine in. So yeah.
Again, yes. So that is why, like society plays or your environment plays a very big role in managing any mental health condition also. Let's talk about that too. Like if you are giving space or if you are giving validation and acceptance to people that for who they are, how they function, what they like, and what they want to do, it becomes easier for people to work, to function, to live, to actually appreciate life. Now, if we go about medication, okay, so medication helps, but it does not treat only. Okay, it helps you so that you can achieve a manageable life over there. You can learn new
You
techniques.
can adjust.
You can adjust. You can learn to adjust. So medication is not necessarily not necessary every time.
Hmm.
So that is there. A lot of people do succeed with that, with the parents who are very accepting, with the friends who are ambitious,
So
and
how would you say, like, how much percentage does our environment play a role? If you have to say percentage wise, how much?
I'll say 80%.
So 80%
Definitely.
is your environment and 20% is you.
If we are comparing it with us only, then I'll keep it at 60% environment and 40% you. Because again, a sense of accountability is very much important in these places. Like even if you are getting a good environment, if you don't have the sense of accountability, then you are just blaming onto things. Again, in that also you will find excuses of you not functioning well. If you're not trying onto yourself, if you're not see, you have information, what do you have? You have awareness about how you function or where you are having difficulties in life, and still you're not like
Working on
do
it.
not yeah, if you do not want to change that, then the environment can also not do anything about it.
You can take the horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink it. Yeah, makes sense.
Yes, so that is where the professional comes into also.
Hmm. So if there are three tips that you would want to give a person who has not been diagnosed but knows that okay, they are suffering from ADHD, even though the first thing is that you have to get diagnosed to get ADHD, what are the three lifestyle shifts you would tell them to do?
Very good question about this. So one thing that we can definitely do is physical exercise, physical activities, engage more into it. If you do it in the morning,
Hmm.
first thing in the morning, then a lot of excess energy gets channelized. Okay,
Hmm.
your focus uh, onto things that you actually want to do, because there is a constant chatter that takes you away from one point to one, and you then end up doing nothing.
Hmm.
Then there is mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness is something which is the third wave of our psychotherapy, and it is really important to get aware, acknowledge, and being non-judgmental about like towards yourself. So if you practice mindfulness meditation, you also see your goals clearly. That is one thing. And another thing is make planners, because it definitely helps you. You do not have to put a lot of things into it. You can just put small things, because a sense of achievement keeps on coming to you. You will feel good about yourself, and
Like a
you can
planner,
work.
how? Like, could you tell them what sort of a planner, how to do it? Is there any tools, techniques, any website or anything that they can use?
So what you do is you make two lists. One list is weekly or monthly goals,
Hmm.
and one list is about daily. Okay. So in weekly or monthly goals, you are putting like what do you want to achieve in this week?
Hmm.
What all the things.
Hmm.
And then you, into the second part of it, you grade it into smaller tasks.
Hmm.
Okay. Because what is happening with us is uh, as a brain is running constantly and it's running more, we end
Overstimulation.
up, yes, we get overstimulated, and we also look at the end result of it. What will be the end result of it, which which not lets you complete the task or start the task even.
Hmm.
Okay. So first thing is get moving. So do. Another really good tip that I will give is emotional check-ins instead of judgments. So why it works with ADHD, it's just like ADHD isn't just attention regulation, it's also emotional regulation.
Hmm.
So the same dopamine circuits that manage focus also manage frustration uh, and rejection sensitivity. So naming your emotion engages your prefrontal cortex and reduces impulsive reactions. So, what you can do is when overwhelmed, take a pause and ask, what am I feeling? What do I need to do right now? I know it sounds like कि कौन करेगा बैठ के अभी ये सब गेस करना पड़ेगा otherwise manage करने में issue हो जाता है. So using grounding techniques like naming five things you see, uh,
That's like gold
uh,
standard. वो तो मतलब it works instantly.
yes, feeling four things, what you feel, three things that you hear. So the purpose is rather than focusing into your internal world, focus onto the external world.
You're
It's the
basically
best.
engaging your senses. Now you're engaging your senses. So it's like a mix between yourself and the external world, and you're getting into a center. That sort of a thing.
Yes, it reduces a lot of extra thoughts and you become again focused onto what were you doing. You are coming back. So what other thing you can do is replace I should be able to do this with I am noticing it's hard to start. What might take it 10% easier? So that is some kind of thoughts that you can use. And early signs that like to identify that you're getting overwhelmed or thinking too fast. So some of the cues that before your brain feels flooded, your body usually whispers the warning first. Okay. So overwhelm often starts subtly, not as chaos, but as overstimulation or loss of clarity. You might feel like you might see physical cues such as tightness in chest, shoulders, or jaw, like tapping feet, clenched fist, or like doing this, whatever you do, this popping sounds and all, restless legs, a feeling of heat or
That's called,
pressure, stimming.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So again, you can also look into cognitive cues. So
Yeah,
thoughts are racing faster than
yeah.
you can articulate. So
Hmm.
sometimes, let me give you one example. So if I'm talking way too fast and I'm saying everything, so my brain is actually not registering or thinking what I'm going to say. That is why I'm like stammering a lot in between. So it means a lot of thoughts are going in my head also. This could be one way to see into it, but there are different ways.
You're trying to filter
Jump.
out which is the best thought right now to put in front.
Yes, because you want to give your best because you have been always underperformer and always have been labeled as lazy or something like you're not doing good. So you try to perform better, best. So jumping from one idea to another mid-sentence, difficulty in reading or processing simple information. Sometimes you will
So
see that
Ayush,
you,
like stimming is also a form of self-regulation, right? Like they're constantly doing something so that they get that energy out somehow. Like they'll be keep walking. Like you've seen like ADHD kids in school, they'll keep walking around like this, like this, like this, like this, like constantly in the same circle, or they'll keep fidgeting so that they can get that energy out. And even some people have noticed, like when I used to go to school, like I used to notice when I was in sixth grade, and there was quite a difference, a distance between my school bus and my school, so we had to walk.
Hmm,
At that time, something used to affect me. Like I used to think,
hmm,
like, okay, what is bothering me? Okay, where
hmm,
am I feeling that sensation in my body? And I used to think,
hmm,
oh, this happened because last night I had a fight with so and so, and so it's
hmm,
bothering me now. And then when I got that thing, that fight happened, then I was like, okay, now I should address it within. So, like you said, it's very important that we start naming our emotions. We start getting in touch with our emotions. And these are all self-regulatory practices that we can start doing. And that like puts a pause button and like a break, like when you're driving a car, it's like a break. Otherwise, you go
yeah.
into emotional overdrive. So it's excellent that you spoke about, like, how we're supposed to reflect and label our feeling. But thank you so much for being a sport and speaking so passionately about, ADHD. So many people will, I think, benefit from this conversation, whoever is listening, and will get timely help, hopefully. And I hope this reaches a lot of people who need the support, who need the help. And even if they listen to our podcast, they'll feel like validated a little bit here and there if they're not feeling that sense of validation sitting in their house. So thank you so much for your time, your presence, and your perspective.
Thank you so much, Hitaishita, for like calling me over here. And बहुत अच्छे क्वेश्चंस थे, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, है ना? काफी questions, काफी अच्छा पर्सपेक्टिव था और काफी प्रैक्टिस से रिलेटेड था चीजें. And it actually raises real questions which should be addressed, which should be talked about this, which people actually are suffering from. एक चीज मेरी रह गई जो मैं
हाँ
बोलना
जी,
चाहूंगा.
बिल्कुल।
तो हाँ, जब हम ओवर स्टिमुलेटेड होते हैं, एक प्रैक्टिस बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है जो आपको हेल्प करेगी. Like whenever you're taking a pause and labeling yourself, like labeling your emotions or thoughts, also ask this question. You can do this practice. Am I thinking too fast?
हम्म।
Am I talking too fast or am I thinking too fast?
हम्म।
So that could be an early sign to detect, like you have gone into your overstimulated or overwhelmed side. And sharing a lot. Sharing a lot is not a problem. It should be appreciated, but yeah, that
No,
is
this
something
is
which can
like,
help you.
this is gold. Like, this is advice, and this is something that people should adapt. Like, figure out, are you like thinking too ahead of time, which is not in the present, it's not rooted in the present moment. So, yeah, I think it's great. Like, people should be adopting this practice. And thank you so much for sharing, like, those you've given, like, labeling your feelings, grounding techniques, making a to-do list, like, that planner that you said, ki daily, monthly, weekly. So I think these techniques are something that I think people should incorporate in their life on an everyday basis, and it'll help them, like, you know, at least divide that entire chunk of information that they're like struggling with into meaningful information.
Definitely. And as we are speaking, मेरे पास और भी सारी चीजें आ रही हैं. तो
So you think of
रहने दे.
it, I usually think of multiple topics and we'll have multiple podcasts.
Definitely. I have a lot of things to talk about right now. अभी मेरे मन में आ रहा है कि जब आप प्लानर्स भी बना रहे हो तो एक चीज और दिमाग में रखनी है, which is like कि keeping away a cognitive distortion of should statement with you that comes with a like for a lot of people, not just with ADHD but majorly in ADHD, that I should be able to do that, I should do that. Whenever you are putting should statement, you are bringing expectations within yourself, and when they are not getting fulfilled, you are going into the depressive side, और
That's
जहाँ पे
point.
self sabotaging behavior आ जाता है काफी ज्यादा. So that is something which you should also recognize. And I will stop, otherwise I'll keep on talking about all these
Thank you,
things.
Ayush. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I think it's been enriching for all of us, empowering for all of us. Thank you so much.